they knew that they were going to have an Enigma in this lane, and then I think against Enigma, you want a hero who can kill the Eidolons, and melee heroes are not particularly great at that. So I'm a little worried, because if the lane, like the panel mentioned, if the lanes don't go well for Na'Vi, I'm not sure how the game is going to look for them.
Yeah, they could kind of scale out of this one, and there's not a lot of answers from Navi's side on, like in the disable front, for example, as they're putting heavy aggression on this early bounty in the top, chasing down Pasha here. You know, this is a Shad, Riki, Viking, you know, with their Riki, with their Grimstroke. They're just going to go on the assault and, you know, not even safe at the bounties early on as they snag up the really early first blood. But, you know, how detrimental could this be really to Necro's game? It's more obviously of a positive to the Riki and to their lane, but, you know, just an early first blood.
One of the reasons we've seen a lot less Shadow Shaman is because of exactly what Viking GG is doing here. They just tri-lane up against him, and he doesn't like to be in a tri-lane because he doesn't offer... his spells aren't particularly great.
He just committed like one Ether Shock and that's it. Now he can't stop them, just assaulting Pasha, trying to go for the 2 takedowns.
Oh, he lives, it's really good.
He lives, but it is going to cost him his salve.
Yeah, so when you're up against a tri-lane like this is Radiant, what you want to do is just disrupt the lane so you don't actually have to play it 2 versus 3. One thing that you can do is you run for the waves, you stack the waves or you pull the creeps, but Shadow Shaman doesn't really enjoy doing that. You usually just prefer like a melee hero, so they have like that built-in damage block. Yeah, Ross's favorite, or Shadow Shaman's favorite place is just to play on the lane and deny CS with his high attack damage, but he's not really getting it. He's going to try and get creative here and go find him, but Ember Spirit with the boots is definitely ready for this.
Yeah, as Grant mentioned, not seeing a whole lot of support Ember, at least on the European side of Dota games.
I feel like we saw a game of it yesterday from somebody.
Yeah, starting to trend.
Yeah, and we've seen the Riki Grimstroke. We've seen this before from Viking GG.
Of course.
They were really, really good with it. So giving them that combo, I think, was a little... we'll see if Na'Vi has a plan for it, but
yeah,
it's a scary combo to give up.
Could end up feeling like a bit of an oversight if it does manage to take off a bit. You know, where they had that aggro set up early on, down below, it was more of a singular matchup for Toby here, who's already at level 3 on his Enigma. He toes up against the new Arcana Wraith King here. I'm not sure how much of an influence that was on the decision to pull out the Wraith King at the end, but nonetheless, Crystallize happy to kind of flex the new Battle Pass a bit. He's got Enchantress who's free to kind of work with the creep equilibrium, gets the pull to his own.
Yeah.
Because
a lot of the carry players got to play a lot of Wraith King. He was meta for quite a while, so
yeah,
he got a little bit nerfed, but I don't think he's in a terrible place.
I imagine the concept's still the same, and while the numbers may be tweaked, the end goal is still there. As man, these supports are just dancing ruthlessly behind the towers. Pasha will be able to find an escape route, makes it back to the safety of his tower, but they're laying it on thick for this Necro.
Yeah, he's level 2.5, not doing super well. But Rasa is the one who's really struggling, unable to find anything. He's level 1 still.
Yeah, where is your home at this point? You mentioned that you could get creative on trying to pull the creep wave where possible, but he's already a hero that's not really able to do that well. And obviously Viking GG are privy to that and just have these supports kind of stalking out those option Bs. And this is going to be really rough for Na'Vi in the early game. We just got to see if they can find recovery elsewhere. You know, just early scope of this Quap versus Shadow Fiend matchup. That does seem to be kind of tilting slightly in the favor of Magical here as he takes it to Boom in the high ground. We'll shove him all the way back, but no true kill potential at the moment until
really
level 6 has come together. But yeah, Magical.
Shadow Fiend has no regen. And there's a 4-minute rune about to spawn.
May not even need the support assistance. Does have Enchantress nearby to help secure that bottom room if necessary, but Shadow Fiend, he's got to just wait for the courier to come and give him that regen you're talking about.
Yeah, the supports, unfortunately, the supports from Na'Vi don't really have great plays. You see Rasa trying to pull a creep wave up here. Could actually E the creep, maybe? Or you can put the Ink Swell on the creep that's chasing the Rasa, mess him up. He gets a 4-minute regen rune for the Quap there. Pretty unfortunate for Boom.
Yeah, unfortunate for Boom. Fantastic for Na'Vi. He's been graced with the extra bit of life there. Now Rasta cutting all the way through, crosses past with the Ember now, who gets the Ink Swell. Gets the slight, needs more right-click damage, needs one more hit, can't quite get it. Trying to juke within the trees, so bad, finds the turn, and we'll make it out the other side, and yep, we'll be forced to port out, but Rasta survives. I mean, he still has to walk all the way back, though, already committed his salve earlier during the pull, so he didn't die, but it almost feels like he might as well be dead with the trip he's got to take all the way back.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm worried, man. This Rasta is going to be a bird in this game. Imagine Ricky is, what, level 4.5 now? Once this Ricky gets going, Rasta is going to be really far behind. He's going to be such free food.
Food, yeah, exactly. Food for the Ricky, potentially, and you won't even see it coming here. Other side of the globe, we have Toby's Enigma, who's had the lane mostly to himself. He can't really get involved with the lane at this point, as it seems like he's a bit out of regen to work with here.
Yeah, Enchantress came over here. He got a Ursa creep from the hard camp and then killed a set or two of Eidolons. So definitely a lot of harass has been put onto the Enigma, but he did just hit level 5, so he is doing much, much better than Radiant's offlane.
Yeah, as long as he's not feeding, holding, finding the XP, it's going to be good. Top, we are seeing more shifty shenanigans here between the supports as they outnumber the Rasta and just kind of finish him off. You got me saying Rasta now. As bottom lane stuns out onto Toby. Oh, that first hit crit, that will help things nicely here as they slowly chop him down with the slow. The Eidolon's trying to scratch at the back of his Majesty and some body block action, but they are successful. I guess we just kind of jinxed him there, saying that he was surviving as they finally make the call.
Yeah, Ench actually put a point in impetus there, which we haven't seen from a lot of Enches lately. Some extra damage to help connect on that kill.
Which I know you're kind of like a little sus on a bit because impetus being such a valuable tool usually early on in the laning phase, but there have been Enchantresses favoring a lot into the heal. At least No-Tail did in the previous series.
I think most of them are favoring Enchant. Oh, mid lane, there's some trouble.
Yeah, Quap was able to get to the ulti. Does manage to get the Sonic Wave off and finishes off the Shadow Fiend. Boom goes down. Magical blinks out aggressively to the safety of the Enchantress nearby. Gets handed off the salve. What camaraderie right there.
Up top, level 3 Pasha gets gone up.
He's able to pop the ghost form and walk away. But pressure starting. As that Ricky is starting to swell up. He's very close to level 6, but level 6s are coming together. The laning phase is starting to fizzle away. And we're going to start seeing some movement here. What team has more pressure to make more action happen, I guess, during this phase of the game, just after the laning phase, and that when level 6s are starting to come together?
I think Ricky is the hero that can move the most and get stuff done. For Navi, it's definitely magical on the Quap, but everyone else wants to be a little bit stationary. But if Quap can move, maybe give Shadow Shaman the mid lane for a little bit, he definitely needs to catch up.
For now, Shaman kind of hanging out with his brethren in the bottom lane, only at level 2, but here comes Wraithking getting chased down, has that point into the ulti if things go too far south. He does turn around, though, gets a nice stun and shackle assistance from that Rasta, and they are going to finish off the Ember Spirit. It is, of course, just that support Ember Spirit, but still a nice turnaround for Navi.
Bit of a greedy play there from Viking, thinking they could go for a kill. They almost had the Wraith King ult, but turns out once he gets shackled, their damage is pretty limited.
Looks like they've caught out Grimstroke nearby, and they will slowly bring him down. So
I was talking about the Enchantress earlier. The Enchant is just such an incredible ability. 55% hero move slow on it. I think that's why we're seeing people prioritize this, and then usually they just max Enchant, and then laning phase is over by the time they have a lot, like 3 points in it, and they're just like, okay, I don't really need an impetus anymore. I'll just go heal.
Yeah, fair enough.
My cores.
Enchant definitely getting mileage done in the early game of this one, scoping between this bottom and mid lane and finding some assisted setups. But more level 6s are starting to come together. We see Toby's Enigma as level 6. They have Black Hole at the ready if it's something that the rest of the team wants to kind of rally behind here.
Yeah, Navi's doing well, though. Against Enigma, they are not behind during the laning phase, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, Ricky's sitting at the top of the CS game, but right behind him is that Queen of Pain, and of course Wraith King is just finding pretty much near free farm in this bottom lane without the Enigma really contesting him. They just are grinding it out. While a shift is coming out through this mid lane here, the support staff of Na'Vi are kind of peeking in from the sides. Viking have their own numbers though, and
they both kind of have a ward here.
Yeah, they see each other. There's a Harpy creep kind of acting as bouncer between. just a very awkward opportunity for Viking GG. The thirst is kind of there, I would imagine so, though the Ricky is still just going to hang out in the top lane, not trying to get into action.
Yeah, he's
ready
yet. He's ready to port if there's a top dive on mid lane, but besides that, he's just going to keep free farming. Oh, there he goes, he's porting.
All right, I guess it's time. He's going to look to take to the high ground. The jump's there. Doesn't have the ink swell yet, but goes into the cloak and dagger and just makes quick work of the enchantress. And I guess that will suffice his appetite for now. Shad rotating over to the mid lane, getting involved in that front.
Yeah, but as a result, they're actually going to lose 3 of the 4 bounty runes.
Yeah, Pasha steps over, is able to snipe that river bounty nicely for
nice
himself.
Down,
nice jump onto the Quap there from Viking. And they give him the tip, just a little bit extra, something special.
Yeah, Sleight of Fist, Searing Chains into Ricky jumping in with Ink Swell on him into a smoke cloud.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster as they take that same formula to the top lane. They got the smoke set up. Another jive in, and here we go. Shad, he's starting to make the action happen, though there's a decent response as they get the takedown of Grimstroke, with Wraith King getting involved on that one. He's going to try to muscle his way towards that Radiance build-up here, but this is Vikings time.
This is, I think he needs more than just him. Yeah, he's just going to defend the tower.
Yeah, Enigma trying to make the most out of this catapult push.
But we have a Necro porting here as well.
We'll fend it off. I guess Necro just...
Which means Wraith King needs to be careful. He is up top alone.
Necro hasn't shown himself in the lane yet, but you're right. I mean, he reveals himself. Suddenly Viking could just make the call to get to the jump on this top lane. But it looks like his supports are rotating over to have his back. Leaves the mid lane totally open, though, for Grimstroke to kind of catch up and finally get to his own level 6. I mean, it's almost 12 minutes, so...
Yeah, the Ricky's much less of a threat if they see Grimstroke somewhere else on the map.
And what about for Ember? Like, what do we want to see out of the support Ember at this point? He got a bottle early.
Usually they go Spirit Vessel.
Yeah, it's, you know, a support, though, it's going to take that little bit of extra time.
Yeah, but it's still a good Spirit Vessel game.
Absolutely.
Regardless. Oh my gosh, you got the tower deny with the roster boards dropped.
That can't feel too good. Great for Shad and Viking, though, as even though his valuable access point going to be taking off the map, we'll see Na'Vi try to encroach a bit onto this territory and take away farming options from Viking GG where possible.
Here they come bottom.
But
Ember
yeah.
Spirit, now Shadow Fiend coming in as well.
Let's make some use out of this black hole, right? Is he going to solo use it on Necro? Is it worth it? Just stun him up for now. Yeah, he's going to use it. Midnight Pulse and everything.
Claw supporting him though, but this is a lost fight.
Yeah, too late at this point. They have Boom also as a kicker.
Yeah, no black hole now though, so Enigma's much less of a threat.
Jump in Slight. Oh, a couple of raises. Magical eats a bit of damage on the bottom, but yeah, no kill execution available to him yet. I think Viking GG are just trying to stay here until they get this tier 1 taken down. Ooh, tried to go in for some slight shenanigans from behind, but
yeah, just gave away his freshly placed ward. He doesn't care. He's the mid player, you know. He didn't place it.
it was free.
Yeah, didn't cost him anything.
Well, they will finish off this tier 1 in the bottom lane.
Ember Spirit immediately brings the Sentry Ward. Thank you, Queen, for that
Nice
random,
XP,
unnecessary Shadow Strike.
Well, Na'Vi are going to try to at least move forward tier 1 mid where possible. The Glyph does get committed. We'll see if Viking can sweep in and try to go for another deny.
Oh, Wraith King decided he does not want to get Radiance this game. He's got Armlet and now going for the Deso.
Ooh.
He wants to fight.
Yeah, a fighter's build. I'm curious what prompted that kind of decision. If it's how Viking have been kind of more on the assault this game, or if Na'Vi are just assuming they're not going to make it to the late game as fast, or if this is just how they need to play it.
I've seen even Wraith Kings that do go for that Radiance. A lot of times they'll just get Armlet early so they can have a presence in the game rather than just AFK farming Gloves of Haste into Radiance. It doesn't look like he's going to go for the Radiance at all, but he probably just feels like he needs to fight with this team. And Armlet is a really cost-efficient item.
Yeah.
Just because of, you know, if you Armlet toggle like even once, it's incredible value.
We've seen smoke movement now coming out from Viking GG as they've looped through this top lane. They'll spot out little Shaman trying to push out the mid and consider an opportunity to get the jump from behind. They got the Ricky Grim combo in their arsenal, but smoke is popped. I don't think it was under that ward, so this is going to be undetected, and they could end up crossing paths with Grim near the Roche pit here.
What's the goal of this smoke, though?
I don't think, I mean, it's nice to get the support kill, but I don't know if it was worth the time and the resources. What was that?
Yeah, it's like they're coming up to the top part of the map. I guess they just want to take this area, keep themselves jungling.
Yeah, Navi are moving around a lot. They're not doing enough really on the objective game. I guess they do have 2 tier 1 towers, but they're more trying to take the fight to them now. I mean, obviously the Wraith King build kind of reveals that a bit, but, you know, I guess if this game does go long, do Navi have a better fight and opportunity against Viking GG? If they kind of withstand, your favorite word here, the power peak of this Ricky and Grimstroke potential.
We're going on Wraith King right now.
They caught him pretty deep farming on Viking turf here. And they'll finish the first life. Are they going to Requiem for the second? Yes, they will. He's feared back, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, you know, one of the nice buffs to have when you're a Shadow Fiend going against a Wraith King is that easy ult setup if you do manage to burst down the first life. And the chase continues here for Navi members. Rasta committing the ulti in the mid-river to kind of stop them in their tracks, throws his body into the wolves. Says, take me.
Yeah, some really unfortunate teamwork by Navi there. Really just not being together. Wraith King off here jungling on this camp, and his teammates were just nowhere near him. So he died twice before anybody else even showed up. Enchantress just had, unfortunately, just had to watch his Wraith King die twice.
And it's hard to say, like, kind of in those instances, without being a fly on the wall, is that more just the carry getting a little too carried away with his farm on the side, or the supports need to be there for the carry, whatever he decides to kind of farm out and just, you know, have his back, that if something was to break out, you could be there to bail him out.
The carries need to hit. They need to be hitting creeps all the time. Otherwise, they're just going to get behind. So I think the support should be up with him.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to take control of this jungle area, and they're trying to push top/mid, which is a good strategy. But he just can't do it alone. And I think the Wraith King being behind the Ricky is going to be really, really bad for Navi. Like, Shadow Fiend farms really, really fast, but doesn't always, like, you know, once you get like some bashers and stuff like that, like, Shadow Fiend isn't the biggest issue.
The issue is the Ricky.
Yeah, the Ricky's just going to eat everybody if he gets farmed.
Cloud, the Chaos, his jump potential. I mean, just goes in and gobbles up Shadow Shaman mid lane like he's the boogeyman here. And they're not done yet. They've spotted an opportunity to get the little Enchantress. One more right click will do it, and it's successful there. Here comes the Grim ulti between the Wraith King, between the Necro. They get him with a black hole and finish him off. He didn't have the ulti. He was still on cooldown, so he's down and out. 4 suddenly hit the deck. And Viking GG will finish it off with a tier 1 tower on top.
This game just broke wide open.
Wow.
Off of that might even lead to, I don't know if they'll go do Roche. It seems like the respawn times are pretty low. Just going to keep farming. But yeah, oh my goodness. Like, Black Hole, Shadow Fiend ult, Grimstroke ult, Ricky Cloud. Navi actually just doesn't really have any team fight. They picked Necro and Ench, and then they followed it up with Rasta and Quap, and Quap just feels like she's like too squishy to enter fights. If she catches like a Grimstroke Link or a Ricky Diffusal into Smoke Cloud or even an Ember Chains, she's just gonna get comboed and die. That's why she got the Yule, so she can get out of, you know, Searing Chains or survive a Smoke Cloud. But odds are there's another CC or Disable headed her way as soon as she gets back down.
Yeah, and certainly when they didn't even have the tools. Even if they have the tools to take better team fights, they didn't have them for that fight at all. And, you know, with the Rasta already committing the wards in the top half of the river, we already saw Wraith King picked off in the jungle, so he didn't have the ult. Navi just unfortunately not recognizing Viking GG had so much going on in that mid lane and kind of just allowed themselves to get caught out a bit. And, you know, maybe when the Rasta was caught, they should have just pulled out altogether. But
that's why it was so important that they backed that Wraith King up in that top jungle, because it has to frontline for them. Otherwise, they're forced, like, They have like 3 squishy spellcasters besides Necrophos, who really isn't even that tanky. So if Wraith King can't frontline for them or isn't frontlining for them, they're just gonna get blown up before they get any spells off.
So now after it's all said and done with the crazy fight that broke out in the mid lane, now that Na'Vi have tools to take the fight, is it in their best interest to try to seek opportunities, or are Viking GG just already too big at this point and they have to hope for more missteps from Viking GG to capitalize on?
Well, I think you definitely need some missteps to get yourselves back in the game, but you're really just waiting for your item timings. Let's see what they're headed for next. Wraith King's trying to finish a Deso. Is that going to help them win the next team fight? I don't think so. Quap's going for an Orchid. Not sure. I kind of think she needs a BKB.
And then at that point, it's like you're building up even more utility and ways to bail out from what Viking GG can bring. But then it's like, okay, you might save yourself for some time, but where's your offensive ever going to come in?
I don't see any of the items that Na'Vi is building significantly helping them win the next team fight. So maybe the next round of items after that, and I'm just not sure if they're going to make it that long.
Yeah, that would be reckless almost for Viking GG to not have tried to close this game out or pressure it to a point where Na'Vi just don't have access to resources to farm that second wave of items.
Yeah, they'll take down this tier 2 tower, and then I think they'll probably just start playing around the map, around this area, and then they'll get 1 or 2 picks and head to Roche.
They're trying to go for a cheeky tier 2 takedown in the top lane using the Shaman ward. Shaman throws himself into the enemy like, I did it, it was me, take me, not my king. But they are gunning ahead,
Rasta,
looking to go for Crystal Eyes.
Rasta buys back, he can port to the outpost here.
If he comes in and could help out, he doesn't have the wards, but some utility to offer. They finish off the first life, and jumping from Magical is a pretty good ulti. The Reaper Scythe will get the finish onto Shadow Fiend, but now they got to worry about the Riki. And can they get him down? It looks like Wraith King is going to get finished, and they cannot do anything to the second round of Viking GG.
Rasta bought back and ported in, so he's stuck here. Oh, he's going back to the well for the second time.
Fortunate dieback for him. But
this was a good fight for Na'Vi, and then a couple things went their way. Shadow Fiend used BKB and ulti very early on Rasta, who did have a buyback available, which made things look a little bit better for them, and Black Hole was still on cooldown. It's up now. But we saw in this fight, Riki is just too farmed at this point. Like, it doesn't matter. Wraith King just can't connect on damage, and Riki just swallowed him up.
Yeah, Riki looking pretty swole at this point, and it's not going to look like it's going to get any easier. We checked the replay of it, and here's that initial chase. They blast down the Shadow Shaman. They look to go for the Wraith King next. Shadow Shaman buys back, and Na'Vi feel we could turn this one real fast while Shadow Fiend has already committed so much. And they do that. They are successful. They put their focus on the Shadow Fiend and finish him off.
Quap got her spells off.
But now what? Now, okay, you got one off the table. Now you still have to deal with the Riki. You still have to deal with the rest of them.
Rimstroke Inkswell stunned 3 people there.
Just ridiculous utility. And it could be a reminder to Na'Vi when thinking about the next draft for the next game on what you leave out there for Viking GG. Certainly if they're picking up a Grimstroke early, you know, a Riki is going to be in consideration. And you can see why. And things are going to be tough now for a bit for Na'Vi, just continuing to try to stall things out, trying to go for those initial wave of items, your Orchids on your Queen of Pain. The Deso's done, and he's trying to go for a Blink, which could bail him out of an awkward situation, or at least be more of that frontliner that Na'Vi need. But Viking GG just continued to take so much and have way more to offer. We almost have a BKB now complete on Toby's Enigma. What do you have for that?
They got Necro Scythe.
That's it. I mean, if you ever use a Scythe on Enigma, then that means you're not going to be finishing off that Shadow Fiend or Riki potentially.
Well, Riki ended that last fight with about 100% HP, so Scythe wouldn't have really been able to do the trick anyways.
That's true.
They definitely are lacking some tools this game, but it's not over yet. You know, they can still, you know, people make mistakes.
Got to be optimistic. As the outpost will be taken back here, but here comes Viking. Turn around, sheep set up while they swing on the back half of the river here, chasing out to look to go for Pasha. The Necro far and away from home and his friends.
Yeah, they're chasing down more heroes over here.
I know, they have Core on one side to handle one end, and now Toby on the other to get the Black Hole secure takedown of Wraith King. Now they wait, they got the Cloudlet. Crystallize does run out the other side, but his ult is going to be on cooldown for nearly 2 minutes.
Well, in 2 minutes they'll have Wraith King all, and the Black Hole will still be on cooldown for another 30 seconds. So a little bit of a window there for them potentially. Like, yeah, pretty small window.
It's a small window, and honestly just is like a best opportunity where the odds are still going to be against them. So at this point, Viking can kind of step off a bit, and I imagine they could secure the Roche. The Roche lineup is not too bad. They can get some wards down. They still even have a tier 1 top lane to secure, so there's still money on the map to be grabbed. You know, Magical doing his best to split the wave and farm on the sides in the meantime here, but you know, he's a couple of items away from making this Queen of Bane really have a strong impact in these fights.
Yeah,
and
he's still trying to finish his Orchid, and then he'll get his BKB. Then I'll be able to... He's having issues, like he's getting linked by Grimstroke, and then silenced by Grimstroke, and then silenced by Riki, and chained by Ember, and feared by Shadow Fiend. It's like such a mess. Really hard for him to enter fights.
Uh-oh. Stuns out onto Crystallize.
No ult.
BKB Requiem, and like you said, no ult. So that'll be a swift takedown. No support staff nearby. So that Wraith King is just going to be down and out. Has a buyback, but otherwise is going to be waiting on the sidelines for 40 seconds.
Yeah, Viking doing a really good job of controlling this bottom half of the map. They know that they themselves are not going for Roshan currently, and neither is Na'Vi, so they're prioritizing the Ancients, which is definitely the meta thing
Shad
to do.
finds a easy snipe onto a support hero here.
Yes, you mentioned Roshan as like something that they could do, but what they're doing right now is actually much better because they have no reason to force Rosh, because all them Roshing do would be it would create space on the map for Na'Vi to farm items that they're having a really tough time farming at the moment.
And it's almost nice to have that constant question against Na'Vi, like, are they doing Rosh now? And then when you try to scout it out, you just get jumped and killed anyways. Viking GG can just kind of avoid that altogether and control more of the map instead and keep Na'Vi guessing.
The double couriers flying on the far left side here. Trying to get some items. I think it's an Aether Lens for Rasta, yeah. He's trying to get to the secret shop, and then Quap's delivering the Orchid finally. But Riki already has a Manta, he's almost got a BKB. Shadow Fiend has a Yules and a BKB. Enigma has a BKB.
Yeah, these guys are like one full step ahead already.
They're like, this is not... Orchid does not seem like the best item here. Maybe if he would have gone for it first item and skipped the Yules, but maybe he felt like he would just be too squishy and die too easily. There we go, they found the Ember.
Yeah,
Orchid.
Can they get the support Ember?
It's a big Orchid pop. Yep, there you go.
All right. She commits everything he has and is able to at least get a cute little pick off onto the Ember Spirit. You know, obviously not the most detrimental thing to Viking GG, but a morale boost and a feather in the cap for Na'Vi at this point.
Yeah, it was a good experience for Rasta and some more farm for Queen of Pain as she proceeds towards her much-needed BKB.
And the question being, will she be able to complete out this BKB before the next assault comes from the Viking GG side? They have the Black Hole right up at the ready here, and they're looking for an opportunity to move in to catch the Ink Swell. It's going to be dodged from the Yules, but she's still stuck within that cloud, and just there's no way to make it out.
So much silence.
So much silence. The Grim, the cloud, it's just all too much for the Quap. All too much.
I was about to say that Viking GG had given Magical a ton of space up here to farm as they were kind of playing in Radiant's jungle. They were sort of ignoring this top lane that was being shoved. But with that pickoff, they're going to go straight into Roshan. Not the fastest Roshan, but they've got plenty of time to make it work.
Really no threat or concern here, while Quap is certainly off the map. Don't anticipate any sort of interference from the Na'Vi side, so they will be able to dictate the momentum of this game. Is it in Viking's best interest to kind of close this one out now sooner than later, now that they have the Aegis, or is time on their side and they can kind of just do with it as they please?
I think time is sort of on their side. However, with Queen of Pain not having a BKB finished, I feel like now would be a really opportune time for them to try to make a high ground push. Shadow Fiend is... Okay, Okay, he went movement speed instead of the presence aura, so he could still hit buildings pretty well. They've got Enigma Eidolons plus Necrobook to hit the buildings. Ricky's not the best building hitter. They might wait for Ricky's BKB, which he's about to finish, and that'll allow him to probably tower, like to dive on anything that tries to defend the tier 3 tower.
Here comes Viking now looking to close out the final outer tower from the Navi side in this top lane.
Yeah, I imagine they'll hit the tier 3 here, try to force Navi back into their base rather than just, oh no, there's a port. Oh, it's an Ember Spirit port though.
Yeah, Ember could just remnant himself back. Nice little benefit from the support Embers being able to kind of deal with these side lane pushes.
It's been his focus the entire game, defending the lane that nobody else wants to play in.
And then he can join the rest of his team.
And Navi's actually going to get caught here, I think. Viking choosing not to go high ground, rather.
It's going to spot them. They see the Enigma. Now the TPs. He'll commit the Black Hole, which obviously will permit plenty of time. But they take down the first Life of the Wraith King before even the rest of Viking GG show up. Now they will certainly be ready for the second life, too. Navi perhaps hanging around longer than they want. And look at this. Boom!
Boom.
Blows up Necro,
GG.
and they're just like, you know what? If we can't do it now, we can't do it ever. And
what a
they throw it
massacre
in.
of a game. Outdrafted, outplayed, outclassed. GG.
Yeah, and not something you really would expect. You know, Viking GG, as mentioned at the start,